Test, test. Now you guys should be able to hear me. You're probably getting echoes now too. Unfortunately, the entire recording of the Open will not have audio. If you're getting an echo, guys, it's because I just fixed the problem of why you weren't getting audio on the stream. So just make sure to mute one of them. Okay. All right, let's see what we get next. You know, the long could be off the VWAP, right? But that would be a VWAP scalp, not a true VWAP bounce. So this is a high volume node, point of control on the composite right here. So we could get some chop here. We could go back down to 173. We're going to want to wait for some strength. If we're going to look to go long, we might want to wait for some confirmation long at this point, because this thing could keep dropping. On the higher time frame, this is a congestion area. We're going to search whatever setup materializes. It could be long or short. Not just shorts. Whatever makes sense. Whatever the setup is. There are long and short setups on red days. So far, we're up 200 plus points since the open. If you were trying to short that, you got burnt badly. The problem is we have this big, now we have this big zone between this VWAP and this lower band. Keep in mind, even if we're using a regular VWAP anchored to last night's opened, the weekly and monthly are still going to be right here. So they're not useless. This VWAP right here is still the weekly and monthly VWAP. So don't disregard it. Gareth, welcome to the crew, man. Good to have you. Chucky, I always change my my time settings. Whatever seems to be giving me the best insight into the price action is what I'll trade. You should notice that the price levels don't change on the time frame. All of our indicators are auction lenses. The price levels are the price levels. It doesn't matter what time frame you're on. Whether you're on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the 10 minute, the VWAP's the VWAP. The upper band's the upper band. It doesn't change if you're on a 1 minute or a 5 minute. So the only benefit you're going to get from different time frames is just getting a little more drilled in or zoomed out on the price action, but the setups or the price levels don't change. All right, there's a little bit of strength there now. The problem is this is point of control. I don't like this trade anymore. That bounce was sold. We could be very choppy here. Like I said, we're at a point of control on the higher time frame. So if I show you guys this, right? Here's our composite. Going all the way back to the beginning of July. We are at there's two giant volume nodes here. We got one right here, and we got one right here. And we are smack in the middle of this one. So you want to talk about diddling in the middle? Welcome to the middle. Do you feel like diddling? That's up to you. I'll be right back. Still kind of like the long here. All right, we could break lower here. Now, the problem is we have a lot of low volume, low volume pockets on the profile here, which is not uncommon because we are at a high volume point of control. Long at 98. Let's see if we can hold here. Nice. 10 points, Scout. Yeah, baby. I've traded really well today, guys. So far, so good. How's everybody else trading? Let's do a little check-in. 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. Let's do a little P&L check-in and a following our rules. Morning, Arginus. Yeah, solid here too. Nice, Corey. Chuck's done for the day. 2 trades. Green. Carlos is green, up 330. Logger, small green. Welcome back, Logger. Naresh, green, 4 out of 5 trades. Only took 1 trade so far. It was a loss. All right, Sonny. Easy does it. This is not easy. This is not an easy market. Old man money. Up 2K. Danny's red. All right. David's small red. All right. As long as the wheels haven't fallen off the bus, you're still in the game. If we can avoid spiraling, that's all that matters. We can manage small red. We could manage small green. We could certainly manage big green. What becomes very tough to manage is big red. Emotional hijacking. The bus exploded. The wheels are long gone. We're riding on the rims now. Nice. Valha. Green since 2 days. Nice. 3 days, 2 loss, 1 win, up $68. All right. Good stuff. Jonathan has a couple of successful MNQ trades. We got a couple of people that are still waiting for a trade. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. Got plenty of time. You know, sometimes I do better when the volatility actually dies down a little bit. And if I'm on, I'll crush some volatility. But if I get caught off sides in the volatile market, I can be done very fast. There was one day, I think I took my first trade and I hit max loss in my cash account. I was down like $1,000. I was like 10 minutes into the stream. I was like, well, that was not good. Nice, Gareth. Yeah, watch live, practice in a demo account. There is no rush. If you're in a rush to make money, generally the opposite happens. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And the reason I'm talking so much is because we're at point of control. There's really no setup here. So, Jonathan asked, what is meant by tilt? So that's a concept that comes out of poker playing, that when you take a loss or if you're playing badly, your judgment is impaired by your emotions. And what happens is you experience this emotional hijacking where you just make bad decision after bad decision. Instead of reeling it in, we tend to make bigger bets, increase our size in hopes of getting it all back. And what tends to happen is a death spiral where we make everything infinitely worse. So that is what I mean by tilt. Nice, Brian. Good stuff, brother. Lock it out. Indicator's been given some fuego setups. Got a beauty right here. I didn't even see that. I should have been over on the indicator. This is one. All right, so it's marking nicely this distribution. Value area high, value area low. Point of control is now also the VWAP. Nice, Bryce. Yeah. Yeah, Stephen, that's a great book, Trading in the Zone. Teaches you primarily to think in terms of probability. No one trade is going to make or break you. In trading, especially when you trade every day, you need an edge. And the edge is a profitable system that pans out over time. Not a system that makes you money in one day. Well, I guess it could. If you have a low win rate system and that one day is like all your winnings in one day. I guess we're waiting for that one big trend day. Back to point of control. Not surprising. We are now in balance. So when we start forming a distribution, guys, we now need to look at this as the value area. All right, we can expect rotations in this value area until we materially leave it one way or the other. But expect choppy conditions here. Good place for scalps. Bad place to catch big moves. Lots of sellers stepping in on the delta here. Yep, the pain of almost making it. Dedicated a whole chapter to that phenomena. The trader's plight. Yep, David, that's a great update. Thank you for letting us know. Trying to trade from work, I think depending on what you do for work, could be quite impossible. I would imagine if you're a driver, trading from work would be quite hard. I can imagine if you're a surgeon, trading from work could be quite hard. Now, if you're a secretary, you might be able to peep the charts while you're sitting there. Gold caught the breakout. So Roadrunner, what I suggest is setting alerts for key setup locations so you don't have to sit there and watch the chart. And if you get the alert, hop in, place the trade, and then just set your profit target and stop loss and let the trade work. There's 2 CCs and a long. You know what's interesting? I joke that if you're a driver, trading could be quite hard. Over the years, a lot of long haul truck drivers are interested in trading. They do find it quite difficult, as you imagine, but when they set up for the night, they want to trade. And they'll trade from their cabins. There you go. Just trading right away. Got a little bit of a short there. So we created a low volume node, right? This is, you know, the weakest of all levels, but it held. I just shorted it. Caught a quick 10 points there. All right, so we have a low volume node between this distribution, and then we kind of have this own little distribution. That's the level between it. Now this can change. Since this is a developing profile, this level you see here could disappear. If you drive a Tesla, for sure. You know that feature is like 10 grand on a Tesla? It's not free. Not all Teslas have it.
So the earlier headline, the US targets Iraqi tycoons in the latest move against Iran oil exports.
Hey, if you make money 10 grand trading, it's definitely worth every penny. All right, back above point of control. Catching a little bit of a bid here. Beautiful. Long at 35.5. I'm up 10 points. 15. I'll take the 15. 50 ticks. So this is, we have a couple of setups. When we're trading like this, guys, we have the fade value or extremes at the top and the bottom of the distribution. And then we have the advanced setup, the VWAP point of control scalp, right? When we have a VWAP and a point of control lined up towards each other, or there's a little gap between them, you can trade the breaks and reclaims. All right, we have an initial balance. Initial balance high is at the VWAP, the weekly VWAP, we can call it. Nice impulse. We're over there focused, huh? Locked in. Okay, this would be the back test long of VWAP, point of control VWAP. See if it holds. Or whether this is a bigger sell-off and rejection, and we're going to go back to the other side of value. Yes. There you go. There's trading from work. Anybody going to try and long this on gold? Retested this low volume node. Looks like a back test. I'm going to give it a shot. So it's an interesting, we'll see if it can hold. Here we go. Covered one. Did anybody take that gold trade with me? Anybody? Because that was a nice one. Yeah. So, you know, if you're able to take off partial position, we're getting to a good spot, right? We're at the kind of the point of control of this low volume node. You can't really see it. If we do this, right, we have a bit of a distribution here. This is kind of the point of control. It's going though. It's going.
European real estate stocks extend losses down 3.1% on track for the biggest daily decline since April 9th.
Nice, guys. Good work. Here it goes. So now these are the highs, all right? The pre-market highs. That was quite the reclaim. I would be surprised if it didn't keep going, but we'll see. Nice. Good job, guys. Good trading by everybody today. So, I mean, that was like, 70 tick move right there. Don't get greedy. We have a divergence on the delta. I don't know how important that is, but buyers aren't participating as much in that move. I can't, Chucky, I don't know. I would say the probabilities are that it's going to eventually go higher, but it can very easily come back to our entry point before it tries again. That's why I always tend to trade level to level. I hate turning good trades and entries into losers or break-even trades. Can't stand it. I would rather see it go on without me than me turn a winner into a loser. That's just my personality. I get way more annoyed at turning a nice trade that I could have taken a nice profit on. That annoys me way more than closing, locking in the profit, and watching it keep going. Now, some people feel differently. Some people get the most annoyed by watching a trade go on without them, and they close too early. You have to decide who you are. This is going to be a trouble. We have this. Oh, I didn't see this back here. Well, I guess that's technically last night's price behavior. So we have this pre-market level here. Let's bring this back here. All right, so, I would expect it might have trouble, but it might get up to 69. So this extension level, we're close to it. But that's where it's going to have the most trouble. So I do think we have some more upside potential here till about 69, 70, at which point it's going to need some real conviction from buyers to bring that thing higher. Because this is the value area we've established since last night. Low volume here, low volume there, low volume here, here.
Europe sales top 49.
I would say here.
Record breaking day.
Yeah, in a perfect world, Sonny, that's what you do, right? Awesome impulse, good work. So this was a break and back test. There goes. Hot dog. Look at that buy. Big buyer just stepped in to break that level. Anybody still holding that? You are a happy camper right now. I would have closed that out after that, but that's just me. Yep, that's correct. They're not going to have the same price. One's futures, one's spot. They're not going to have the same price, but they move together. So ignore the price difference. But yeah, that looks correct to me. Yeah, it's awesome, Logger. I mean, it's a lot, you know, there's a lot of information on the screen, but also, you know, I've been tracking it on 4 different charts to try and keep it all organized. And this kind of brings it all together on one chart. So, you know, of course, there's going to be a lot going on because I'm combining 4 charts worth of information. But it's kind of nice to see everything on one chart as well, to be able to make good, educated decisions. Sorry to hear that, JJ. A lot of volatility pre-market. Awesome. Yeah, some people read that book a few times through. It's and a lot of people keep it handy to reread. And I'm on the 3-minute on gold. Now, the only reason I'm on the 3-minute is to be able to show you guys a little more information. Look at that. Look at that. Dang.
The Europe spot market is set to notch a record day of issuance as the UK and Italy
Gold is running. That was a great entry.
There are 28 issuers looking to raise at least 49.6 billion euros or $57.7 billion, according to data. That puts Europe on track to beat the previous record day, a one-day total of 47.6 billion euros set earlier this year.
Massive divergence on the cumulative delta. It's kind of silly, actually. Yep, Shelly, that's awesome. Love to hear that. I feel like these auto-plotted low volume nodes from the composite are worth their weight in gold by themselves. All right, so we broke a key level there on NQ. It might be interesting for a short. Nice. There was the back test. There it goes. Another setup out of beauty right there. I also think, Corey, a lot of people are starting to wrap their head around the system a little more. Because, you know, a lot of people are starting to have been around a while. Which is really cool to see the people that have been sticking it out and focusing and learning to watch them get better. you know, but the same people that, there's people that come in and they give it a go. They're unsuccessful in like 2 weeks and then they're on to the next. That didn't work. I got to find something else. I mean, Jay Scott, we've all been there. I don't think there's a single person in here that's not guilty of that. A lot of the things I make fun of and I joke about, I'm perfectly guilty of. So. The dotted lines, these dotted lines here, this is the IB mid, the middle point of the IB. Is that the dotted lines you're talking about? This is a volume climax signal. This is an anchored VWAP from this exhaustion candle. I think that's a great level, actually. I'll take that. I'll try a long on that. Because that's also the VWAP from the climax. At least for a scalp. Long at 31.45. See if we can catch a bigger bounce. 20 ticks. Might add to it a little bit here. About up 20 ticks in profit again. Now back down. Dang, there it is. So we do have lower band of the weekly, right? Because that's the weekly now. Along with this VWAP from this climax candle. So this is where buyers are going to want to stay in control when they took over control down here after this exhaustion. If we break below this, sellers are really back in control. I don't know. It looks like they're trying to push it through. Be patient. Patience. I'm not going to give it much room to run against me here. If it runs against me, it runs against me. I'm out. I'll give it like 200 bucks. There we go. Come on. Seems very heavy, and the cumulative delta is going right down. I'm gonna get out only because I got out at break even. I don't like I'd like to see some strength step in here. There's the strength. There it is. Played off to the tick. Look at that. If I was just a little more patient, I front run a lot, so. Morning, Ali. Ali. I don't know what you mean by the color of the cell gray. Don't know what you mean by that. Yep, exhaustion is the same as capitulation. Yes, correct. European bond sales, $50 billion, record bond sale for European bonds. I don't know. What does that tell you? I feel like that should tell us flight to safety. I don't know. It's still an interesting long here. Back up to 78. I'm long at 55. I got long again. Out. So did I, Salos. Took it for a quickie as well. Love me a quickie. I used to take quickies and then hold on, you know, if it went against me, hold on to the trade for the rest of the afternoon. Anybody do that? Just, I'm going for a quick 10 ticks. It runs against you immediately and you wind up holding to the trade all day. It was supposed to be a quickie. Why are you holding it? I was supposed to win. Don't you know? Yep. Hey, Mark, the YouTube is also delayed. YouTube stream is delayed. The Discord is ultra low latency. So that's like a second or two. Whereas the YouTube could be delayed as long as 30 seconds to a minute, if not longer. Buyers stepping in, but price isn't going up with it. They're getting sold into. Yep, I see the low volume node. Yep, I see it right here. So who's getting in? You know, there's a lot of buyers, but price isn't moving. So a lot of the buying is being absorbed, but that doesn't mean buyers can't overwhelm the sellers. Very tight range here, 30 points, if that. 20 points, yeah, or so. So we kind of have our own little point of control right here at 150 now. So price moved down a lot, but barely any sellers on the delta. Weird. So there's some trickery going on here. We got the big boys doing business in this zone at 150. So we probably got a couple big players distributing, a couple of big players accumulating. I'm long, 51. 50 ticks right there. I like the delta. The delta told the story on that one.
US Treasury is to auction for $100 billion in 4-week bills.
Hey, okay, Rory, nice to have you. Yep.
So
Once you see the market through this lens, Rory, you're never going to be able to see it any differently. It's like, you know, taking the red pill or the blue pill. Once you take the red pill, you can't go back, man. You can't go back. You'll never look at markets the same way again. All right, so, you know, we got to get back over this 80 level. 80 is going to be key, or 90, I should say, 90. Now we bounced at the VWAP from this capitulation candle. We bounced over 40 points. And it lined up nicely with lower band. And now this is upper band, right? So, you know, it's clear as day if you have the proper levels, you know, of what's happening with price and why it's reacting at certain levels. Yeah, Logger, I think that sounds good on the higher time frame. That's great analysis. Love that. He says he thinks let's go take a look what you're talking about. So this is the daily chart. Daily chart on NQ. We have the upper band on the yearly VWAP. And if we do a composite, let's go back to July 3rd. All right. It's the lower edge of a distribution. Let's bring it back a little further so we can get more information. All right, so it's the ledge. Right there. Now we do have, and it's also this low. However, we do have this, oh, you guys probably can't see it. Hold on. We also have this low volume node, significant, right here. So these are probably the biggest support levels we have. And then we're going to get, this value area high level right here. If we break that, man, we can go all the way back down here. Back into this old range. So good analysis. Kind of chopping around IB mid here. So a big divergence on the delta here still. All right, price is going to make a lower low here. It's trying to. And delta is not there. So, I'm inclined to try long again down here. Come on. Ugh. Got my first fill at 39. Filled. And my other one's filled too. Okay. Back to point of control. Intermediate point of control anyway. Yeah, I'm about done here. We'll keep watching for another 20 minutes. Price action has been good getting today, I'll tell you what. So, we live it up when the price action is good. We got some really nice, reliable levels. Lots of data to trade. I mean, you're pretty well versed with the system, Corey, where I'm sure you're probably winging it pretty good. But it wouldn't hurt to go through it. So it's, it's multi-time frame analysis, and it's showing us essentially value areas in discovery across multiple time frames. That's why there's so many lines. Historically, I had this all broken up across 4 different charts, right? I'd have my low volume nodes on this chart, my intraday VWAPs and initial balance over here, my longer term VWAPs, all broken up across 3 charts. This puts it all in one automatically. So it's a lot, but it's good. And once you get used to it, you start seeing, especially if you're trading level to level, where the good capture areas are. Right? Where can I grab some points? I do. Yep. You can't see it really here because they're pretty much the same level right now. If I go back, we'll go to a higher time frame here. We'll go to the 3-minute. We'll go back. So you can see here, this is the weekly. Purple is the monthly upper band, weekly upper band, weekly VWAP, monthly VWAP along with weekly upper band at the same level, monthly lower band. You can see it all. It's awesome. So these are custom anchor VWAPs. These aren't. I don't know that. You'd have to do the low, the high. Right? If you want it off the low, you got to go to low. If you want it off the high, you go off the high. This is the toolkit, and it automatically prints the anchored VWAP to the low of a down capitulation candle, and it anchors it to the top of an up capitulation candle. So, Chucky, a good way to do it is slowly introduce things. You know, start with one. Next week, add one more layer. A week after that, add a third layer, and like kind of build up your comfortability with seeing the different aspects. So it's not overwhelming all at once. And then there's always me. You know, that's a benefit of the streams to be able to see how I'm dissecting it. Yeah, it's a trading view thing. It doesn't happen on Ninja Trader. I have Ninja Trader up over here. All right, so as a reminder, guys, make sure that you're using the member journals in the private Discord. Everybody who's active down there and posting their journals regularly is going to be entered to win free trading accounts, prop firm trading accounts at the end of the month. So if you're not already doing it, be sure to join us. And also, I'm going to put some type of incentive reward system that you're going to get points and experience for also commenting and leaving feedback on other people's journals or engaging, right? Because community thrives on participation. So the more people that participate, the better it gets.
$1.5 billion. And the bids for VWAP Bounce total was $1.7 billion.
I mean, you know, it's my community. I learn things from you guys all the time. You guys teach me stuff regularly. Nobody is above the benefits of being in a community with a lot of smart people in it. Yep, exactly. All right, looks like we broke that key level. Down we go. So now this is going to be the kind of the last piece of the puzzle here. So we do have a low volume node right here from the open. I don't just see it here. I see it on my other profile on Tradeovate. So there could be a little long here. I don't know. We'll see. You know, it's a scary long. Boom. 20 ticks. 25. Closed. Oh, here we go with the COVID lows again. COVID lows. If we go down to the COVID lows, we're in big trouble. We're gonna have to raise the price of the Discord because my long-term portfolio is gonna be in the shitter. Don't worry, guys. I have zero plans on raising the price of the Discord. Zero plans. We got some, well, you know, people make the community. We got a lot of great people here. I've been in communities where, like, you know, we benefit because we're like into the same thing, but like I would never hang out with these people in real life. I could honestly say that a lot of you I'd probably be friends with in the real world. So it's very cool. Great people in here. We'll probably do a meetup one day. Like I said, probably Orlando would be like the best spot. Now I know for you folk over in Europe, that's not convenient, but generally it's a major airport for people in the US that's relatively easy to get to, and there's a lot of great hotels and spots. Yeah, but you're not gonna have to worry about the traffic because we're gonna get to a hotel and we're not gonna leave. It's gonna be like a beautiful resort with pools and restaurants and all this stuff in it. And then we'll do a Universal Studios day and ride roller coasters. I would say the average age is probably pretty middle age, 30s to 50, 30 to 50 on average. Now, obviously, they're going to see both sides of that distribution.
10 minutes away from the bottom of the hour, we get the VWAP 6-month bill auction data.
You know, that seems like a big age gap, but
With the US looking to sell $82 billion on 3-month bills and $73 billion on 6-month.
And Corey's right at the point of control.
The 3-month on calls for 1% with 5 bit cover of 3.07. 6-month bill higher risk.
I mean, technically, everybody here has a business in trading, guys. You don't need to have an LLC. You could write it off as a sole proprietor. I'm not a tax expert, and I'm not giving anybody tax advice. However, you absolutely 100%, if you are getting contractor income from prop firms, I would write some things off against that income. Yeah, no. Well, how do you get, I guess, I don't know how that works in Canada. So in the US, we get paid as a contractor and it's treating ourselves as a business. So you don't actually have to own a business. It's considered self-employment and you can write costs and expenses off of that income. So you don't get taxed on it. I don't know how that works in Canada or any other country for that matter, but in the United States, that's how it works. Oh, that's nice. So that's even better. Then I guess you don't have anything to write off of. But I guess it doesn't matter either way. All right, this thing's kind of bleeding out, right? I'd be careful with any longs because we're not getting much of a bounce anywhere.
Just keeping an eye on bond yields in general, focusing on the US 30-year Treasury yields, climbing on Tuesday to the highest level since mid-July. just shy of about 5%, in line with advances in European and UK bond markets, as investors fear that governments in major economies around the world, including the US, are losing control over their fiscal deficits.
I'd love to come to Dubai too. I want to go skiing in the indoor ski rink in Dubai. I want to do that. I want to go skiing in the middle of the desert. I work with Funded Next. They're in Dubai. If you want to work with a Dubai-based prop firm. They're a Dubai-based prop firm. They're pretty darn good. I know a lot of traders are starting to get good, decent payouts from them.
I'm going to be able to bring up the 6-month valuation data. Prior to the 3 high yield falls for 1%, and the total 3.07, and a high yield for the 6-month bill 3.915%. Private covers 3.36.
All right, a little bit of a bid here. I don't know why here. I don't see much of anything here. Oh, nice. Yeah, so top one gives the affiliates, if you use an affiliates code instead of their own marketing codes, you actually get more off. I think it's one of the few prop firms that actually gives the affiliates better rewards with their codes than the company itself. Oh, I see it. This is the one I was trading this morning, pre-market. 115. That's the level I called out in the main chat. Yep, it's Drysdale on pretty much everything except for Apex. It's Drysdale 1. Of course, Apex has to make it infinitely more complicated by having to have a number in it. So I can't have the same name as I have everywhere else, every other prop firm. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Good trading today. We got a lot of great trades on stream. I think everybody did quite well. Anybody have any questions before we wrap up today? We have crypto trading tonight, 7 p.m. If anybody wants to check that out, that will be on YouTube and the Discord. We got some great trades. Toolkit performed very well today. Absolutely. And PGA, don't get frustrated. There's a lot to learn, and I don't think it's too much, but you have to give it time and grace. There's people in here that stuck with it for like 3 months, and they're starting to get payouts. So, you know, it's not a short-term endeavor. It does take quite a bit of time to learn. I'm not promising anybody quick results or that this thing is overarchingly simple. It is, you know, it can be simple. It's just not easy to learn the nuances right away. So if you can, try to be patient, try to show up, try to learn, ask questions. You've asked a lot of questions, so that's great. You might not always like the answer to the questions, but you know, that's just the nature. I'm pretty candid and I'm a straight shooter, so some people appreciate that about me. Some people not so much. It is what it is. All right, guys. So have a great day. Manage your risk. Why don't you guys head on over to the trading lounge? If you're going to keep trading, that's a benefit of the premium membership. You guys can trade with each other, share your mic, share your screens if you're going to keep trading. And we'll be back at it tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. at the market open, 10 a.m. on YouTube. All right. Have a great day, guys. Manage your risk. Stay sharp, and we'll see everybody at 7 p.m. if you can make it for crypto trading or tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody.